I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Jonny Smith.
And this is On the Other Side of Things, the Smith & Sniff spin-off in which we answer your questions. Hi guys, slightly different Otosot this week because we're still in the Microlino little car.
We are.
In a multi-story in West London, as we were on Monday's main show. But for this one, as ever on a Friday, we're going to answer some questions. Shall I start with one here from...
the laptop's open.
A listener called... Yes, the laptop is sort of squashed onto my actual lap. A listener called Colin Tinto, who says, oh gosh, it's a Scottish town name, Garganock. It's probably not
Garganock?
Garganock.
Garganock in Scotland.
It's probably like Gargnich or something. They're all going, you English twats. Anyway, it's in Scotland. He says, hello, you fine pair of doodle sacks. At the bottom, he's explained that doodle sack is German for bagpipe.
I hope it is. I blimmin' hope it is. Doodle sack.
So his question is, why are car makers bringing back old names? Mustang, Capri, Renault 4 and 5, Frontera, brackets, exclamation mark, and now even Testarossa. I get that heritage is one way for the long-established brands to compete with the newer manufacturers from China and the Far East, but don't they realise that doing a Google search for any of these names produces very confusing results now? And God forbid you try and use AI to research for a car. I've already seen some very confused information about the Renault 5, where the stats of the original and the EV were all jumbled up together. Well, that's the AI, isn't it? Because it's shit. Yours, Colin.
That's a very good point about search engine optimization.
Because this has always occurred to me if I was naming a band, because I always think a good band name is distinctively the band. My benchmark used to be, could you name a train after it? And people would go, oh yeah, that train's named after that band.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I mean, I suppose the Beatles would be a great case in point, but it's a bit hard to judge really because everybody knows the Beatles, but I don't know.
Biffy Clyro.
Well, that's a good one then, I suppose, isn't it? Because I don't think there's other Biffy Clyro.
No, there's nothing that is like that.
Is that Steve Clyro's brother? Right. Oh, I see they're about, okay.
Steve from Cairo.
Yeah. But then, some other band names just feel a little bland, but then I think more recently, it's like, if you typed in the band name, again, Biffy Clyro is a good example, is that the first thing that comes up? Or do you have to put music or something after it? Because it's actually a really, there's sort of...
The band Reef.
Yeah, that's not a great name, is it?
Because there's a shoe brand called Reef, and there might be a natural
phenomenon called
Well, there's
Reef.
actual natural, of course there is that. So it's actually really difficult for SEO.
SEO, that's the thing. It's like, there was a few years ago a band called Fun. It's just like, a terrible name for SEO or train naming. My two benchmarks for band names. But sorry, we drifted off topic there.
Fun. They did one good song, didn't they?
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was, so it can't be that good.
Oh, arse. Can't remember either.
But why I sort of feel like Colin has, in fact, landed on exactly the reason why they're bringing it back is because it's heritage, isn't it? It's their strongest weapon now.
Yeah.
Against companies that have none.
Yeah.
Because, no one goes, oh, God, this Yangwang U9 takes me back to the good old days of the Yangwang U1. There's no heritage there. So
there's a relatability immediately and it depends on what demographic you're aiming it at. But if, let's just say Ford brought the Escort back.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done the Capri, but we'll try and ignore it. If the Escort came back, different age groups of people would have a different Escort reference point, wouldn't they?
Yes. I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought about that. And that actually may inform their warmth towards the Escort. If you remember Mark 1s and you think they're brilliant rally cars and stuff, you go, yeah. But if you're younger and you went, what? Like that really shitty one that was then replaced by the Focus.
Yeah.
You'd be a bit like, I don't know. Or you just think of Jazz Mags.
Well, there is that as well.
Because Escort's not a very, I suppose if it's paired with Ford, it's established, but
if it's just Escort, well, it's also the term for a paid-for companion.
Oh, yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah. The other thing, I suppose, is that finding a new name is difficult.
Yeah, it's expensive because you've talked about this.
Yeah.
You have to spend a few million quid on average names, which is not a great use of cash.
Well, because you find that actually the name you want and that everyone agrees is really perfect for the car is currently owned by Procter & Gamble because they once used it on a shampoo in Belgium or something. So you've got to pay them some money potentially. I don't know.
Yeah.
Often you maybe don't because of copyright trademark categories, and you can categorize it in the vehicles section rather than the shampoo section or whatever. But if someone has sort of total blanket ownership, it's also just then the research as well. There's whole agencies that do this because you go, we really want this name, but then you find out that like it means fungal infection in Welsh or something, and you go, oh shit, we can't do that. So it's only like and it's going to be going. We went back to the 60s. The Ford Cortina, I think, was originally one of the names I wanted to use was Caprina or something like that, but apparently it was Italian for goat dung or something ridiculous like that. So
is that right?
Yeah, they couldn't. So it's you've got to make sure it doesn't mean something embarrassing.
Yes.
And there are a few examples famously of things that slip through the net, like Toyota MR2 and stuff.
It cannot offend. No.
It cannot offend. It has to be pronounceable in all languages where the car might be bought. So if it's like, oh my God, German speakers would really struggle with this, or Italian speakers, French speakers, or in fact English speakers, that's no good.
No.
So it's a right arse sake. Whereas you just go, well, hang on, lads, we've got Frontera here on the books.
Yeah. I like the name Frontera, but it does still remind me of the guy that drove up Snowdonia twice.
Yeah. I mean, if Vauxhall had any wit about them, they would Photoshop a new Frontera onto the top of Snowdon for a big, multi-sheet outdoor poster campaign with just "not again" written on it. And people would go, oh, the Frontera's back. I get that reference. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's a good one.
So this one I liked from a listener who signs himself just mysteriously J. There. Do you see that?
Gosh, there's some small print there.
Small print. Sorry, is that good? Do you want me to? I think if I hold it far enough away, I could.
J. Milligan. I'm supposed to call you both penises for some reason. You don't have to.
You don't have to. It's just people do.
I've been working my way through your back catalogue of podcasts and was delighted by Johnny's idea to build a Henry vacuum car by attaching a shell to a quad bike. I actually forgot I'd come up with such nonsense, and cheerfully zipping around his village. This got me thinking about how Johnny could collaborate with Ed China on such a project, as Ed has famously built and driven a sofa car and an orange around... around the UK. This got me thinking about how there are more than a few prominent British automotive content presenters who are quite tall, like yourselves. And this got me thinking about the question I will now pose to you. If Jonny, Richard, Ed China, Harry Metcalf and Jeremy Clarkson were a basketball team, who would you play? Which one of you would be MJ and who would be Scottie Pippen? Back reference to another cast. Who would be the most dangerous in the paint?
Yes.
And can Richard hit a three?
No.
Thank you for the hundreds and hundreds of hours of your silly nonsense. Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. Bye. Well,
now.
Basketball Otosot. Didn't think I'd get one.
Good God. Clarkson on the court. No.
No, Clarkson needs to be the one that brings out, I don't know, oranges.
Yes.
Shouts from the sideline.
Yeah, he's got a board that he can draw positions and moves on, but just used as an excuse to draw cock and balls.
Would he just be a terrible cheerleader and we just leave it at that?
Or just a terrible coach, just shouting absolutely useless advice and throw the ball, I'm doing it. Because also in the mix there that has been left out is, of course, Henry Catchpole, also a lofty chap.
And a fit one.
Because he cycles and sleeps in a river and does all sorts of outdoorsy things. He's basically a sheepdog. So
I forgot about him.
He, I think, good physical fitness and height.
So, I'm thinking Ed China is major defender.
China has the height. China really does have the height. Was he 6'7"?
7. I think he would be in the D because he would be able to protect our basket so well. So and I don't know if Ed China can run well, but he's a giant.
I do worry that actually, who else we got on the list?
Metcalf.
Certainly not me. I am terrible at basketball.
Well, I used to play basketball every week.
Well, then, all right.
It's the only sport that I enjoy regularly.
I think, because
I need to do some serious practice.
Harry, I don't know. Harry's I can't imagine it. But then at the same time, what if it turns out he has got absolutely mad dribbling skills that we didn't know about?
I think Harry will have. I think he's got a good eye for a sneaky pass.
Yes.
So although Harry hasn't got the 3-point ability necessarily, he might not be the fastest. I mean, he might be, Harry, I don't know. But I think he'd do a sneaky side pass. He'd always be good at knowing, I'm going to pass it to Richard now because everyone's staring at Jonny.
Yeah.
Off we
I
go.
can see that. Hey, do you know who I'm having on our squad, though? Again, not mentioned, but he's definitely got height on his side. Good old Jack, Captain Scarlet.
Oh,
he's a tall man.
Yeah.
He's a younger man. Yeah. I reckon he's got the skills.
Scarlet's a really good shout.
I think maybe you need to be Scottie Pippen to Scarlet's MJ.
Yeah, because Scarlet's
I think he might have the youth.
He's got the
on
youth
his side and the enthusiasm.
All right, I'll be Pippen.
If you're all right being Pippen, you know, that's an important job. Don't undersell yourself, but you know, because you've got the wisdom.
Yeah, I've been in the game a while.
You've been in the game a while, so that's it. You're letting the young puff get the glory, but the glory wouldn't be there if you hadn't fed him the right balls. Can
you please, could you design our trainers for us?
Oh,
obviously MJ famously collaborated with Nike and the Jordan was born and blah, blah, blah.
I'm wondering, because obviously you had the Air with the pump up.
Oh, yeah, you had the Reebok pump and you had the...
I'd like to see one where you pump it, but then the sides get wider like a bullfrog for no reason. It's just for the look.
Okay.
Just for the look. Okay. But I think an onboard compressor so that they can do it sort of it may compromise your ability to play. I don't know. But
I would refuse to wear a vest.
Oh.
Okay.
Why?
Because I think basketball vests, again, they only suit basketball pros and that's it. And even then, they don't often suit them.
Are you wearing something, though?
Yes, I'm wearing something, Rich.
Okay, that's right. I'm just checking you won't go like shirtless.
No, I'm wearing long shorts and I'm wearing a standard length T-shirt.
Okay.
Sports shirt.
Yes, sports.
Sport.
That's okay.
What we got?
Move on to another listener. This is a listener who calls himself Panda Mask. They say... they finish this message by saying, thank you for the bi-weekly injection of joyful silliness into the most mundane moments of my life. On that side of things, I wonder if I'm your only regular listener in Ukraine.
Oh, my word.
I know. Isn't that something? I don't know, but maybe not if you're in Ukraine. Drop us a line.
I was going to say hello to all of our listeners in Ukraine.
Yes, Panda Mask and anyone else in Ukraine. We hope you're all right and you're safe. I'm just going to do the first part of his message. The second part is he's just sent us
he sent us the funniest picture.
Sent us a picture, and a quite incredible picture of a car called the Gillette.
What, the
Gillet, I presume.
Genuinely called the Gillet?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Which they used to make a car called the Vertigo, so basically Belgium's Donkervoort.
Okay, yeah.
And Vanina X campaigned an alpha-engined Gillet Vertigo in 24 hours of Spa a number of times. It doesn't have any photographic evidence of that, but or whether he doesn't have any evidence of her wearing a Nomex fireproof gilet.
She would.
But he's got a picture of Johnny Holiday, the French singer, in a gilet with his gilet.
Is that who that is?
That he concedes is actually more of a vest. Anyway.
He's got decal flames on the car, and they are some of the worst decal flames I've seen.
He's a ridiculous man. But no, the Panda Mask question is actually, he says, I've been on a 007 binge lately, rewatching Bond films from the 60s onwards.
Excellent.
I keep coming back to the question of the next Bond car, that brutish yet somehow classy and understated Aston DBS from On Her Majesty's Secret Cervix was just peak Bond guide, as she said. So, in my opinion. Alas, mostly forgotten. I blame Lazenby.
Yeah.
But as much as I like today's Aston Martins, aren't they a little too flashy for a spy? Then again, a 2007 Honda Jazz with a dent in the rear bumper is not in keeping with the 007 canon. It has to be something special. What do you think should be the next Bond car? Current production only. And what gadgetry would you spec on it?
So if it has to be a current car...
Yeah, that's...
Right. Okay, current.
Did we do this one before? Because I wrote an Evo column about it.
I think we have talked about 007 vehicles many times, but I'm trying to remember whether it was what would he drive if it had to be new now.
Because I said in my Evo column that it has to be a Subaru Outback. Because it's much more... If you sort of say, Bond should go back to first principles, discreet, tasteful, capable, quite old money, but tough, surprisingly capable, can catch you out if you underestimate it.
Right.
But
okay.
just quietly confident in its own skin is why I think it should be the Bond car. In terms of gadgets, though, there's one thing I think would go well with the Outback, because it's not a very memorable car to look at particularly. You came to my house in that Outback, which you then left behind, and I had for a couple of days, and I thought it was a delightful car.
It was really good. There was something about it, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was way nicer than the Forester that I drove a few months previous. So I don't know why. It just was. Well, probably because it didn't have that stupid hybrid system that's rubbish on it. But the thing I thought would go well with an Outback is colour changing paintwork.
Oh,
because the memory, I think, struggles to remember colour a lot of the time. And I'm basing this on last week. I saw my cousin, and we were talking about in the 80s, her parents had a Mini, and it was effectively her first car. She learned to drive at 17, and this Mini, it was a Mini special edition Sprite, not the one that became a production.
Not the pervy Caravan.
No. And I said, oh yeah, I remember that Mini. I remember you coming to visit us in that Mini, the yellow one. And she went, no, it was red. And I was like, oh my God, I've always in my head thought that car was yellow. She's like, that was definitely red. And I was like, shit. It's amazing. I can picture that car outside our house, that house I grew up in.
In the colour.
And it's yellow. But no. She said it's not. It was always red. And I'm like, oh shit.
I bet you're cross with yourself.
But it's a bit weird. I was slightly freaked out by it because it's so vivid in my mind. So I was thinking, well, what if you had an Outback that it's green, but then suddenly it's white or it's black?
Yeah. And
then people go, where did that secret agent go? The blue Subaru. And you go, I don't think there was a blue Subaru. There was a white one, but was it right? Oh God, I can't remember now. And then you turn around and go, well, there's a brown one over there.
Yeah.
Well, that can't be it. I could have sworn it wasn't, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't brown. No,
a brown one over there.
So, that would be my, because we've done fucking machine guns behind the headlights and things like that.
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know. The only thing is, Bond's always running about in a suit and then doing sex with ladies. He must stink if he's not had a shower. So maybe some kind of onboard cleansing system would be more useful to Bond.
Dirty swine.
It's just like one of those, those public loos with the perilous automatic doors that they rinse themselves when there's no one in there. Yeah. The inside of the Subaru is like a sort of car wash for James Bond.
A rinse cubicle.
It's a bit Wallace and Gromit because then it sort of brings in all the various component parts of a dinner suit, like the sleeves come on, and Bond gets freshened up for his next adventure.
But I quite like the idea of Bond having a, like you said, a dismantleable skin suit. So it's not actually a normal suit. So if he's in a knife fight and he gets his forearm slit a bit through the material, he can just unzip or unvelcro a sleeve. It's all a bit Magic Mike, but he would do it. But he'd do it with a bit more suaviness.
That thing from Fessel that I read out to you just before referred this about the man who had his pants pulled down by a mate in a pub, and then a few days later
with
saw this mate
with
a tray of drinks. A few days later, saw the same mate who'd done this to him filling up his car, so snuck up behind him and pulled his trousers down at a petrol station, then realised it wasn't his mate at all, it was a stranger. So he just ran back to his car and drove off.
It's just so bad.
But that could happen to Bond. Bond's trousers just come apart in a really embarrassing situation.
Yeah.
Just go...
Like a gecko that can lose his tail when it's in a panic.
I've got one of Bond's sleeves.
Yeah,
but then it looks like Bond's wearing a body warmer with a bow tie.
Bond's got a dismantleable lower end, so he's got crop trousers. Basically, Bond goes for holiday trousers if somebody tries to grab the bottoms of his trousers. I don't know. I just don't know.
Not a bad idea, though, is it? The bits of trouser that come off.
Yeah. Modular trousers.
Modular clothes generally.
We've got off the topic though. We're supposed to be talking about the car.
Oh well, so the car. Yeah. What would you put Bond into in the modern era?
What would I put Bond in? As a new car now? Does it have to be British? It doesn't, does it?
No, he's been BMWs for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, of course. Gosh, it's a really difficult one. It's a really difficult one. It would have to be quick, but I think it would have to be discreet.
Yeah.
I'm a bit terrible at this.
Just say whatever you're looking at. Oh, I'm going to say Ford EcoSport.
Ford EcoSport there with the tiny wheels.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't look twice at it, would you, except to go, look at that terrible car. Look, that's got a dented tailgate as well, Jazz style. Do you think they're another Jazz where the people constantly reverse
it's just been slammed into? Yeah. I'd quite like Bond to just have a Honda Legend.
Oh,
that's 15 years old, but it's had some discrete mods done.
And incredibly slurry gear changes.
The drivetrain is reliable, and it can take such a cold pounding when it gets in it.
That's it.
It's been sat outside in Sweden all night, and he has to get in it and put it straight into low and roast it.
Yeah, but this comes back for more because it
can take it.
Yeah. There goes James Bond, bloody legend. Yeah. No, seriously, he's got a bloody legend. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you,
the bloody legend.
There's another
letter from a chap. You got a bit of cramp?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this one is from a chap called Nick from Leafy, Leicestershire. Hey, you pair of flautists of the Philharmonic Porchestra. I have got a question based upon my own experience where I hurt and embarrassed myself as a result of being a shameless car pervert. Recently, I was out for a weekend bike ride in Leafy, Leicestershire, when I spotted a beer festival being hosted in the car park of the Great Central Railway. Being both a fan of tepid air and Victorian machinery, I swung into the car park to see what was going on and became conscious of a vehicle following me in, whose engine note can only be described as a deep throb.
Oh,
as it pulled into the parking space, I swiveled my head owl-like to see like an immaculate 2002 Passat W8 4Motion coming to a rest. I was bowled over by this shining beacon of early 2000s era VW lunacy. Photo attached, which we can share with our Patreon.
Oh, yes, look at that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I hadn't realised that the car park's surface had transitioned from about 0.5 of a mil of gravel to 2 centimetres, and my road bike came to a dead stop, still being clipped into the pedals. I wobbled bravely for a few seconds before crashing to the ground, still clipped to my own bike, and resembling a stranded tortoise. The owner of said W8 sprung out the driver's seat to ask how I was, and I could only reply with a feeble, "I was staring at your car." So followed a 10-minute convo about the virtues of the W8 platform and a promise for me to write about this for Smith & Sniff, which he said he didn't listen to, but he would from now on.
Oh.
So hello if you're listening, and congratulations on the sweet, sweet W8. It was worth the shuddering embarrassment and losing some skin off my right calf for. My question to you both is, have you ever injured yourself in the name of being a car pervert?
Oh.
Well, you went urban exploring.
Yes, I did, round Longbridge. Yeah. And I didn't hurt myself. I did clonk my head at one point.
Oh, yeah.
But I was wearing a woolly hat, so it sort of lessened the blow.
Yes.
And there was the bit when we first got into the grounds when we climbed a very steep bank, and then the security patrol went past with his dog in a car, but we could hear the dog barking when it stopped. The guy stopped to get out and have a cigarette. And the dog was barking in the car, and I thought, if he releases the dog and it comes and finds us,
it's just going to come at you.
I'm either going to get bitten by a dog, or I'm going to have to go down this very steep bank and I'll tumble and break an ankle. So it's a lose-lose. But thankfully, he did not release the hound, so it was okay. But no, I don't think I've ever clattered fully into a lamppost whilst getting distracted by a car. But
I've banged my knee on a bench.
What? Because a
low bench, because I was walking and not quite looking right, and it clonked it at sort of shin level.
Yeah,
it hurt so badly.
Yeah,
it was a concrete bench.
I mean, I haven't hurt myself. Only the other day, I almost missed my turning off the motorway because I was trying to catch an interesting Saab. Yeah, a late model 9.3 wagon went past, but it was a turbo. I thought it might be a Turbo X all-wheel drive, very rare and quite a delight for a Saab pervert, which I was saying I'm a sort of honorary Saab pervert, but I was trying to see if it definitely was a Turbo X. It wasn't, but it looked like it because it had the bigger wheels and stuff. And in trying to get through sort of reasonably dense traffic, I was so distracted by that, I suddenly realised that it was my turn off.
Oh, no.
I almost drove past it, which would have just been a nuisance. But it was the kind of thing where I just went, what is wrong with you? Why do you do these things?
Yeah.
So there was that. But no, I can't. I'm sure there have been other injuries. I mean, I've talked about this before. I think last time I was talking about it was live on stage when I did the thing with Paul Callan the other week at the Motor Museum in Gaydon, but was at Gaydon as a teenager, family holiday to the Cotswolds, or sort of up round there somewhere. And one day, staying in a sort of cottage on a farm or something, and my parents went, right, today I think we're going to go to Warwick Castle. And I went, you go to Warwick Castle, but drop me in the village of Gaydon, because I'm going to go and snoop around what was at that point the Rover test track.
Yeah.
On my mountain bike, which we'd taken bikes with us on this wholesome family holiday.
Brilliant.
And so I spent a whole day just cycling around. I think, my mum did me a packed lunch. I was cycling around, but then cycling across fields, because I had a mountain bike, cycling across fields, and it was quite muddy, and it was quite hard to actually see anything of the test track, unsurprisingly. And then I realised that my bike got a puncture and I was in the middle of a field.
Oh, no.
And I'd agreed, pre-mobile phones, to meet my parents at a specific spot, the spot where they dropped me off at a certain time. And I realised with a sinking feeling I was never going to make it back in time. But it took me so long to wheel my bike out of this field and then wheel it down the lanes that, in fact, they were so worried they called the police.
Oh, my.
And the first I knew of it was a police car just pulled up alongside me in a lane and went, "Are you Richard?" And I said, "Yeah." And they went, "Oh, your mum and dad are very worried about you. Don't worry, we'll tell them where you are." And they went off and went to where my parents were and told them. So yeah, it was they'd sent out a search party. So it wasn't injury particularly, but it was. Fortunately, it's one of those ones where my parents were so relieved that I was actually alive and safe that they didn't bollock me for
that's
the
good.
weirdness of I was like, I don't give a shit about medieval things. I want to see secret Rover prototypes, please.
I've heard myself doing barn finds a bit. In fact, there's a barn find that's coming out quite soon on a Volvo P1800 where, and unfortunately it got caught on camera, where the car brakes just suddenly, the handbrake just suddenly let go.
Oh, shoot.
And the car was on, we'd managed to winch it out of the garage onto quite a steep garden in the sun. Mm. And I was under the car pointing at the condition of the rear valance or something mad. And the car just started creeping away from me on camera. Oh. And I grabbed it as hard as I could and dug my heels in on with my steel toe boots. And I went, I said, "No!" I think I just bellowed, no, because I thought it was going to go smashing into the shed and out the other side.
Oh, God.
But I managed to stop it and hold on to it while I said to the videographer, just put kick a piece of wood under it, because I'm doing my heels in. I felt like I'd stretched my spine a bit.
I'm going to say that's the kind of thing where you do it instinctively and then that's just a back problem you'll never shake off.
Yeah. But I felt proud that
That's
avoided. Yeah.
It was quite scary. What was that barn find you did where were you sort of putting fuel into the top of the carb or something like that and almost took someone's eyebrows off? Not yours. It was,
that was the Senate Courtney Turbo Senator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it burnt the guy's eyebrows. They really smelled because the line I came out with afterwards was, "I can smell your eyebrows."
Yes.
Which a few people said was a good line.
Okay, we'll do one more. This is from a listener called Mike Bernard. He says, "Dear low friction alusil sleeves. I recently visited a city I once lived in and where my daughter was born a decade ago. It brought back a memory of the time I was working and my wife called to let me know she was going into labour. Flashback to that day when I realised this was the moment I'd waited my entire car enthusiast life for. And also the birth of my daughter, which was very important. I walked briskly out of work to my car parked on the third level of a multi-storey car park. I climbed into my Ford's Fiesta ST and set off, no reversing necessary as I had backed into the space when I arrived for a quick exit. At about 10:30 a.m, you could hear a pin drop in the parking structure as everyone was busy at work. This silence was broken by the sound of 1.6 litres bouncing off the limiter while the Fiesta soared through the air as the decline to the next level of the parking structure commenced. I hadn't bothered using the handbrake around bends as I considered this might be a bit careless. Entering the motorway, I hit red line every gear and imagined Carlos Sainz Sr. in a rally car working against the clock, while the few vehicles on the road were only performing light motorway work at a reasonable 65. The Fiesta screamed past, bouncing off the limiter before each gear change, climbing to 67 or 68. I quickly arrived at the hospital, found my wife, and was able to witness the birth of my daughter. After 54 exhaustive hours of labour. Jesus Christ, that's a lot.
Impressive, yeah.
I was relieved I'd made it so promptly. It occurred to me my swift exit from work, which likely resulted in the need to replace 4 bent wheels, probably wasn't necessary. Has there ever been a time in your life when you've had an excuse to drive like a complete crankshaft pulley remover? Yours, Mike.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I did drive relatively quickly to get to my wife at the time, who was giving birth to our second child, and I was at a wedding.
What?
Yeah, I was at my oldest mate's wedding, and I was in an SLS Mercedes.
Oh,
so
that's a good car.
I stayed sober, and because I knew that it
like birth work.
Yeah, and I did some kind of like I did some wedding car driving work and also high speed pursuit work to the hospital. It was a long trip. It was near Bath. I got married in Bath.
Oh, shoot, really? So you had to go major?
Yeah, major.
Okay.
So I brimmed it with fuel before I went to the after-wedding party.
Wow.
So it was waiting.
Yeah.
The other thing I've done is, when you go past a motorway junction or a big junction and then suddenly everything comes to a halt because there's loads of traffic and you cuss yourself. Damn it, I should have just come off there. The road's going to be closed for ages.
Yeah.
That happened to me on the way home once from work, which is only about 10 miles. And I was so pissed off that I missed the junction. I was just sat there. I looked across and there was a public footpath hole in the hedge off the A1.
Yes.
So I drove my, at the time, Mercedes. I slithered it over a really high...
What sort of Mercedes?
123.
Oh, my God.
I drove it over a big grassy knoll where it bellied out. And then I managed to get it onto the public footpath and drove it up the footpath off the A1 onto a quieter road and then home the lanes way.
I think the only time I've done it was in my old Range Rover when my son had a major asthma attack. And, anyone's got asthma knows those blue inhalers can usually control an attack. But this was so bad they didn't seem to be having any effect. And it was like, and obviously this asthma can, in the extremes, be life-threatening. So I was like, not messing around here. So I just drove like an absolute bell, including... coming up to some traffic lights, and there was a right turn filter on a separate light, and it was on red. So I went straight ahead and then just did a huge U-ey on the other side of the junction, cut somebody up, and then did a cheeky, just because I was like, I'm not mucking around here.
No.
This is an emergency. I mean, obviously, really supposed to not do that. You're supposed to ring an ambulance, but it seemed like I was only a mile from the hospital. It's like, let's just go.
Yeah.
And also dumped my car in a waiting bay and just ran into A&E. And brilliantly, a nurse just saw us come in, saw immediately what was happening with my boy and how short of breath he was, and just went, come with me. Like, no sign and nothing, just come with me. And
she didn't go, just before you do that, can you just put your registration number into this?
Yeah, no, there was none of that.
Into this iPad.
The great thing was, because I was a bit like, look, I'm going to get a ticket. As long as it doesn't get towed, I'm going to get a ticket, but that is the price worth paying to make sure he's okay. Because then they then want to check him out. And so we were there for quite a while while he got checked out and had various other tests done on him. And I went back and the car was there very badly parked in the sort of drop-off bay. And it was fine, and we just drove away.
Oh, that's so good.
I know, which...
You're lucky.
Yeah, but that's it. That's the only time I can remember. I really remember I'm driving like an absolute penis here, but it feels like it's deserved because this is a kind of touch-and-go situation. So
yeah,
there we go. All right, well, that's enough questions for this time. We'll do this again next Friday, probably not in a very small car. Normal show again on Monday. Also probably not in a very small car. Who knows? But
no, we'll try and park a little bit further away from it, a big extractor.
Yeah, we'll probably do that. But for now, thank you for listening. We've got a question. Hello@smithandsniff.com. See you next time. Goodbye.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. Bye.